Hello guys, Om Sai Ram. Today we are going to go to the Harihar Fort.
Just like the last time, this trek too was organized by the Trek Free Trekking Group. I'm going to leave their contact information in the description itself. I boarded the bus organized by them at the Bhandu pumping, in which we'll travel to the Harihargad base village of Harshwadi. This is where I had some breakfast.
So right behind me is the Harihar Fort and we are going to start the trek. A while back we had our breakfast here. And yes, so that is the fort itself.
Whenever trekking, make sure to bring with yourself biscuits or dog food so that you could feed the stray dogs on your trek.
After a short briefing by the lead volunteers, we begin our trek. There are two routes that lead to the Harihargad fort, one from the Harshwadi village and the second from the Nirgudpada village. Today we are trekking from the shorter route, that is from Harshwadi.
The route from Harshwadi might take an hour and a half, while the route from Nirgudpada might take 2 hours and a half. In this video, I will try to explain some lesser known history and politics surrounding Harihargad, most of which is taken from the internet and the book Raja Shiv Chhatrapati. The Harihargad was built by the Yadava Empire during their reign from the 9th century to the 14th century to look upon the trade route of the Gonda Ghat. During 1270 CE, the Yadava Empire used to be ruled by Raja Ramdev Rao. Since 1270 CE, the Yadava Empire seems to have started facing invasions from the Militia armies from northern India. In 1296 CE, Alauddin Khilji of the Delhi Sultanate successfully raided the Yadava capital of Devgiri. Khilji restored it to Raja Ramdev Rao in return for the promise of payment of a high ransom and an annual tribute. However, this was not paid, and the Yadava Empire's arrears to Khilji kept on mounting. Thus, Khilji sent an army commanded by Malik Kafur, which defeated the already weakened Yadava forces. Raja Ramdev Rao was taken to Delhi and reinstated as the governor by Khilji for a promise to help Khilji subdue the Hindu kingdoms of southern India. After Raja Ramdev Rao passed away in the year 1309, his successor Raja Shankara Dev threw off Khilji's rule. Thus, Yadava Empire stopped paying the annual tribute 1309 onwards. Alauddin Khilji then sent Malik Kafur to recapture Devgiri in 1313. Raja Shankara Dev was killed in the ensuing battle, and Khilji's army occupied Devgiri. The kingdom was then annexed by the Khilji Sultanate in 1317. Harihargad too must have fallen in the hands of the Militia. For the next 300 years, Maharashtra suffered the rules of various sultans and their sultanates.
As we are on the top of the fort, you can't see the Harihar Fort here, but it is right there. But it is so misty that even I have problems seeing it. So as we are approaching the stairs of the fort, the place is getting kind of crowded, and oh my god, there is a huge line.
While waiting for our turn to climb the fort, we were accompanied by a lot of monkeys and few dogs. It felt as if Harihargad was amidst the clouds. All the time different clouds were hitting the walls of the mountain. After getting a few places in the line, I could now see the doors of the fort. What had happened was, earlier in the day, lots of people had already climbed the fort, so we had to wait for them to get down first. After waiting for almost an hour, we began climbing the rock-cut steps. These rock-cut steps are the center of attraction of the Harihargad for lots of tourists, visitors and trekkers. These steps form an inclination of almost 80 degrees and comprising of more than 100 steps, these are almost 200 feet tall. All of this might sound scary, but don't worry because there are slots carved into the stairs which you can use as grips. Just like the fort, these stairs were too constructed during the reign of the Yadava dynasty. These stairs were constructed by carving the mountain. This must have taken a lot of efforts and time. After climbing the steps, we reached the gates of the fort, which led us to a corridor-like path. Just like the stairs, this corridor too was built by carving the mountain. This corridor gives us a beautiful view of the neighboring Brahma mountain. This leads us to one more set of rock-cut stairs. These stairs lead us to the mountain itself, to the top of the fort. The Harihargad is surrounded by deep and highly inclined cliffs from all the sides, thus making it impossible to climb. But the path consisting of the rock-cut stairs, the corridors, and again the stairs leading us to the mountain, all of which has been constructed by carving the mountain, makes it really easy to climb the fort. How the engineers, architects, and the craftsmen of the Yadava Empire must have figured this way out is really hard to imagine.
So after trekking a lot, we have reached to the top of the Harihar Fort. There are many places for us to explore now, but yeah, we're going to wait here for some time to observe the scenery.
By 1629, the Harihargad was under the control of the Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar Sultanate. Meanwhile, the newly crowned Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan launched a fresh campaign against the Ahmednagar Sultanate. By 1632, Mughals laid siege to Daulatabad fortress, capital of the Nizam Shahi itself. Shahaji Raje Bhosale was the general in the Nizam Shahi army. Despite having the support of Adil Shahi, Daulatabad fell in the hands of the Mughals. Shahaji Raje retreated and took control of an area in the southern part of the Sultanate. This area included the lands in the triangle found by the connecting cities of Nashik, Pune and Ahmednagar. Unlike southern Maharashtra, which was directly administered by the Adil Shahi government, this region was politically unstable because of the constant warfare between Nizam Shah, Adil Shah and the Mughals. Meanwhile, in Daulatabad, the Mughals imprisoned the nominal king of Nizam Shahi. Shahaji Raje installed a 10-year-old Murtaza of the Ahmednagar royal family as a puppet ruler and appointed himself as the Wazir. Within a year, Shahaji Raje's army captured Junnar and a large part of the northern Konkan region. Shahaji Raje himself resided in Junnar and raised an army which at its peak numbered around 12,000 soldiers. Shahaji Raje's plan was to establish Swarajya under the disguise of Nizam Shahi. In 1636, Shahaji Raje won the Harihargad.
So right on the top of the fort, there are these artificial water tanks, and they have been dug into the mountain. So right now they have dried out because monsoon just started yesterday, I guess. And yeah, people have polluted it as well. There are plastic bottles in it. The water here is not drinkable right now. But yeah, these water storage tanks were back then used for native people to drink water. If you see very closely, there's this path that is carved into the mountain. This path is meant for collecting water into this water tank during the monsoon seasons. This one is actually beautiful, but the water here is too stagnant.
Just ahead of these tanks is a very beautiful Hanuman temple, behind of which is also a lake, a large one. Surrounding the lakes are various shivlings. Initially, Shahaji Raje had Adil Shahi's support for his conquest, but the Adil Shahi Bijapuri Darbar had two political factions. The first favored resisting Mughal influence in the Deccan, while the second favored establishing peace with the Mughals by recognizing their control over the former parts of Nizam Shahi territory. In 1636, the latter faction emerged more powerful and a peace treaty was signed between the Mughals and the Adil Shahi. As a part of this treaty, Adil Shahi agreed to help Mughals subjugate Shahaji Raje and depute him away from the Mughal frontier if he chose to serve the Adil Shahi. The Mughals besieged the Maholi fort, where Shahaji Raje, his wife Jizamata, and his 6-year-old son Shivaji Raje, Murtuza, the pretender of the Ahmednagar throne, were residing in. In October 1636, Shahaji Raje surrendered Maholi and Junnar to the Mughals and returned to the Adil Shahi's service, where he was deputed away from the Mughal frontier to Bangalore, and his son Shivaji Raje was granted the Pune Jahagir. Few years later, his son Shivaji Raje too walked on the same path. In 1646, 16-year-old Shivaji Raje won the Torna fort, thus beginning his conquest for establishing Hindavi Swarajya. In the coming years, battling Adil Shahi, Mughals, the British, and many other enemies, Hindavi Swarajya spread in all directions. The Harihargad was brought to the Hindavi Swarajya by Prime Minister Morupanta Pingre in 1670.
Later, by coronating himself as the Chhatrapati of the Hindavi Swarajya in 1674, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj established a sovereign nation, thus fulfilling his father's, Shahaji Raje's dreams. The Hindavi Swarajya in the year of 1759 ruled and controlled most of the Indian subcontinent. Thus, 18th century saw the transitioning of power back from the Turks and Malaysians to the native Indian kingdoms. Just as we were observing the nearby scenery, a cloud directly hit the Harihargad, thus making our surroundings completely cloudy. After spending almost half of an hour at the peak of the fort, we finally got down and walked to the nearby Dhanya Kothar.
Right behind me is the Dhanya Kothar of this gad. Inside the Dhanya Kothar, the food resources used to be stored like food grains, wheat, bajri for the Sainiks to eat. And yes, as you can see, the wall of this Kothar is very thick. This is to avoid any kind of damage to the food grains.
The walls on the insides of the Dhanya Kothar were completely desecrated. All of them were riddled with different names. On our way back, we came across many cairns, that is, stack of rocks piled on each other. After exploring the Harihargad in our limited time, we started trekking down the same way. On our way back, we got the darshan of Ganpati Bappa, whose idol was carved into the wall of the corridor just beside the gates of the fort. Just as we climbed down the rocket stairs, just further down, the trail splits into two, one leading to Nirgulpada and the other one to Harshwadi. We almost lost our way, but thanks to Rohit, one of the lead volunteers, we were guided to the right trail.
Behind me is the Ganesh Kund, and right here is the temple of Shankar Mahadeva, and there is the temple of Lord Hanuman. So you can see here the Ganesh Kund has kind of dried out because, as I told you earlier, the monsoon just started yesterday. There is a Shila Lake over there. On certain walls there are the idols of Sri Hanuman as well, so, and Sri Ganesh. Yeah. So this is the last place that we explore on this trek.
We spent some time at the Ganesh Kund, where we had the darshan of God Mahadeva, Ganpati Bappa, Gaudev and Gaudevi.
We then trekked to Harshwadi, where we had our lunch and boarded our bus back home. Hello guys, thank you for watching this video. As I've told you earlier, this trek was organized by the trekking group. I'm going to leave their contact information in the description itself. So before the trek to Harihargad, I've been to the Harishchandragarh and the Kalsubai with them, and all of these experiences have been really good for me. The lead volunteers were really knowledgeable and insightful, and they helped us out throughout the trek. They also kept the head count of different members on various checkpoints on our trail, so that nobody is left behind. So as I've told you in the video itself that while we were trekking down from the Harihargad, we almost lost our trail and we would have headed for the Nirgudpada instead of Harshwadi, and we wouldn't have realized it 10 times sooner. But thankfully, due to our trek lead Rohit, we were guided back to the original path. So whenever you are trekking, there is a chance that you might hurt yourself, so it is always advisable to be with a group. Thank you Vinay and Shivam for helping me make this video. I'm going to leave my friends' Instagram IDs in the description itself. And also make sure to check out Vinay's YouTube channel, that is Vinay Mhatre. He told me that he's going to upload videos very soon. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, share and subscribe. See you soon. Sai Ram.